Welcome. This is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 140. I am your amazing co-host, Ace Harris, here with the amazing lead host. You know what I'm saying? He'll be holding it down. I'm just here to support.
I'm going to get a petition and get 100 signees.
Meah be so
say that Ace is the main host of the 116 Life.
Yo, whose talking point went viral with like 1 million plus views though?
Ace, who's been here longer than me?
Hey, tenure is not a barometer of impact, you know what I'm saying? It's all about what's the new, the fresh, you know what I'm saying, on the scene.
I'm so done with you, bro.
Anyway, but yeah, shout out Meah for always preparing these amazing talks. I mean, we've been going, man, we're getting close to 100 episodes.
We are getting close to 100.
Wow. So I was like, yo, we probably need to do something special.
We do. Yeah.
But shout out Matt, our producer. We're holding it down the tech space, going crazy. But and also shout out to all the viewers and fans that be tapping into this amazing conversation. So we got a very special, amazing guest here today that's at the forefront. And I want to say one of the pioneers of a leading emerging genre. Give it up for officially known as Stevie Rizo. I'm going to call him Rizzo. What's up, man?
Yes, sir.
Dude, thank you for having me. I appreciate y'all.
You know, the Christian R&B pioneer. Mm-hmm. Is that appropriate to say pioneer? I kind of want to. I think it's
crazy. I never really stood on that, but low key.
Yeah.
Low key. If it's given, I'm taking it. Type vibe.
I definitely scanned the environment and was like, I'm gonna go with this Christian R&B thing. Like I didn't see anybody doing it. I'm like, I'm gonna do this, and then So low key,
man. So how you feeling today, man? How's life for you?
I feel good, fresh off a tour, so I just feel blessed to be here. And then I'm here with y'all, so it's lit.
Yeah, it's like family. I mean, I've been working together for a couple of years. I know Meah been tapped in, so it feels like a family affair. Yo, there's so much dope talent, Meah, in like the CHH and CHH adjacent space in Atlanta.
Yeah,
I feel like it's always really dope to have people come on because it's like there's so much talent here. So Atlanta's the place to be if you're an artist out there. If you in Oklahoma somewhere, come on to Atlanta. You know,
facts. Because I'm from New Jersey, but coming here is like groundbreaking.
How long you been in Atlanta?
For like 7 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I did hear the Northeast accent in there a little bit. It's in there. So what brought you to Atlanta?
I actually came out here to do music.
Okay, like you and a million other people. So that's
exactly.
So okay, we can get into that a little bit more. But how has the Atlanta coming to fulfill your dream story been for you? Like the quick version before we get into the details.
Yeah. Atlanta was everything I was looking for it to be.
Okay.
I'll say that. Yeah.
Okay.
In a short form.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of like things that you're excited about, 7 years in Atlanta, how are you navigating being an artist? For those who don't know, he's a Christian R&B artist, an amazing artist that's kind of been a pioneer of this space. How are you navigating this wave that's now considered a wave, but you've been kind of on it for a minute? How are you navigating that?
It's so cool. First of all, let me say that it's so cool to even see the wave forming.
Yeah.
How am I navigating it? I'm just surfing it. The wave that's coming, I'm just literally trying to surf the wave.
For sure.
But it's cool because like when I first took the stamp to like say Christian R&B, look, this is what happened, right? At the time I was doing gospel. I was calling myself a gospel artist. And I would meet people. This is like 2018, right? Every time I would meet people and say, I'm a gospel artist, they'd be like, oh, cool, what's the name of your choir? Or what church do you sing at? And I would be like, nah, not like that. And I would go through the whole spiel of trying to make them understand what it was.
Yeah.
So I remember praying on it.
Yeah.
And I remember even telling God, like, I'm done with being a gospel artist. That's not working. And I remember praying on it. And like, I even shed a tear, if I'm being honest. And I was telling God, like, I don't want to do this. Like, it don't translate to people or whatever.
Right.
And I had a vision of Christian R&B. Like something behind me in this vision said like Christian R&B on it. And I was just like, all right, like I'm gonna use that. But I thought at the time like it wasn't politically correct because how can I say Christian and R&B?
For sure.
So then I went down a rabbit hole of research and learning like R&B comes from gospel and all that.
For sure.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just take this and run with it. So to see it form the whole wave, like 6 years later, is like a blessing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You said something that I thought was interesting. You said you didn't think it was going to translate. So what is it like now seeing people gravitate to not even just you, but so many different artists with the Christian R&B genre?
It just shows like God is faithful. Because off a simple vision that I had, listen, I don't know if I'm the first person in the world to ever say Christian R&B. I highly doubt that, right? But I felt like I just was, at the time, I was willing to claim it as something, claim it as this is what it is, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do. And just to see it from what it was to now is like, God's just faithful.
I think I like that, what you're saying. I'm going to dig on that a little bit because sometimes in like niche genres, in any genre that has like cultural cachet, there's always like who started it, who claimed it, who's owning it. And I know I just gave you your props, but if you pull the receipts, I mean, I've been seeing you and hearing you do this style of music for a long time. And I've been at Reach for 7 years. I've been seeing you kind of like sizzling, popping up on my feed and being in other spaces. Can you speak to how you felt like in your heart you were one of the first to kind of claim it? But however, you don't seem to mention that in a way that's like arrogant or like exclusive, like, y'all, this is mine, y'all late, I've been up on this. Can you talk about why it's important to have this kind of posture that you have with it?
Well, first, like when I prayed for it, right? When I was like, God, I don't want to be a gospel artist. Give me something that resonates with the people. My feeling the whole time when I felt like he showed me Christian R&B, I felt like it was a thing that was bigger than me. I didn't feel like he gave me something. I felt like he gave me something to like that to be a vessel of.
Talk about it.
So the whole goal of like, if it was like, oh wow, this is something that's going to supersede me. It's going to be way bigger than me, but I'm gonna kick it off. I
love that, man, because I feel like sometimes I've seen it in the Christian. I'm gonna be blunt, in the Christian hip hop space. There's been times with certain styles, nuances, subgenres, however you want to call it. There's this energy of, yo, we was on this first. So they put this stake in the ground, like we landed on the moon first. I'm like, bro, you don't own this music anyway. It's all God's. Now, I'm not saying there aren't moments where people are kind of like copying or stealing someone's style or being influenced, but I don't want to say stealing. But at the end of the day, if you are a pioneer to a sound, a subgenre within the Christian genre, that's a great thing. You should kick it off and pass that baton and share it versus trying to own it exclusive, like, yo, this is mine. So I think you do that really well, because it's easy for you, Rizzo, to be like, to see the new wave. To see the wave that's forming and be like, man,
I've been riding this.
I've been on
Look at this surfboard. I've been riding this wave.
It'll hurt you in the long run. Yeah. Because if I try to hold it to me and be like, no, this is my thing, then people won't come help me and join and like be a part of it. And then it gets stuck in my hands. I can only do so much. So it like helps me to like push it and be like, no, you Christian R&B too. You know how many artists, so many of my artist friends that was doing gospel music and was saying like they didn't want to say Christian R&B, and we would have like full talks. I'm like, no, like you need to be Christian R&B. Like that's you. Like you a Christian R&B artist. Right. So I was pushing people to like claim it and take it on as their own.
That's crazy. Shout out you for. I think it speaks to your humility. And like the way God's formed you uniquely to be a leader in the space. Because I feel like He does give grace to leaders like you to kick it off and then rally people to it. You know what I'm saying? Which I think is, go say more.
Nah, go ahead.
I thought I cut you. I thought you had something to say.
Honestly, it's interesting hearing you say that, because I feel like you have a certain level of boldness that I think a lot of people need to have. Can you just speak onto the fact of the importance of artists being bold with the Christian title, or just even just in carrying Christian R&B just in general? I
like that you said that, because that's what ignited me as an artist, right? Because at the time I was working on the other side of music, like the secular side of music, I guess, and everybody's bold. Nobody's tiptoeing, nobody's making rules. Everybody's like, no, I'm gonna be the biggest and the boldest and the la la la. I had just came off that wave. So when I came to do it for God, I took that same energy. Like, nah, move out the way. This for God. Like, this gonna be the biggest. Like, God. You know, like bringing that boldness. And it's funny. Like, we was just talking about this a couple of days ago. But the environment in which we're in now, it has been a little more lax and has been a little more tiptoeing because people don't want to be wrong. But I feel like we need to get back to the boldness of the, just spreading that glory of God and being bold and having dominion. Dominion is to dominate. So I love the boldness of being a Christian.
Yeah, that's fire.
Yeah, I'm just kind of fired up hearing you.
No, yeah,
because it's like we need. I mean, everybody's gonna, their mission or walk's gonna be different.
Right.
But I think there is something encouraging and like galvanizing about the energy you're coming with. Where it's like, nah, we ain't trying to blend in. We're trying to pull up.
Right.
As we are, and then, you know what I'm saying, more glory to God type
exactly. Take up our space.
Yeah, take up more space, which I think is good. So talk about in your life right now, before we get into you, I just want to hear a little bit about how you're juggling professionally, the tour. Like how are you balancing all this, everything that you're doing platform-wise, like writing songs, making songs, touring?
Yeah.
How's life look for you as an artist?
So as an artist, right, long story short, we're producers of something. So as a producer, like when I'm trying to look to produce something, I always pay attention to what I'm consuming.
For sure.
At the end of the day, I try to be diligent, especially with like tour and stuff like that. If I know I got a show coming up, the 2 weeks before the show, I'm very, very dialed in, like even down to what I'm eating. Like I'll even be vegan. I'll go vegan. What I'm watching, what I'm listening to, who I'm talking to, how I'm talking, just really paying attention to everything that I'm consuming, because I'm looking to increase my production. So
that's super dope.
You said discipline, and I don't know. I feel like that word's just been following me everywhere, only because I resonate with that. How is it? Because I can only imagine some people hearing you say, they'd be like, you don't gotta go vegan. You can just really watch whatever. It's just a show. Yeah. It's just a studio session. How have you had to train your mindset, even like your spirit man, even to be able to line up with those boundaries, just for the sake of not even your career, but even your spirituality also?
Well, I had learned, right? I was studying the principles of the kingdom. It's funny that you said that. And I learned that like what attract people. And I want people to be attracted to this music because it's not about me. It's about spreading the message of God, right? So I try to do some research on what attract people. And apparently people are attracted to discipline. So even like LeBron James to say how he can be disciplined in doing whatever he need to do to play basketball, that attracts people because some people feel like they can't be as disciplined. So I realized like, okay, all I really have to do, it's a principle. All I really have to do is be diligent and disciplined, and I can attract people that way. So, yeah.
What's been the benefits of that? Like the you being disciplined, the product of that you've gotten it in return.
Yeah. It's easy. You know, like when you practicing all the time, you can just show up and let it flow. You don't gotta like overthink it or have fear that it ain't gonna work because you did it a million times already. You know, so I feel like that's what it is for me.
You play sports or something?
I used to, actually. I used to play football, basketball, everything, baseball.
I feel like artists who are athletes not to like say anything bad about those who are not athletes. Some of y'all can't play no ball. Some of y'all need to stick to that microphone. The pickup games is, you ain't getting picked, fam.
Yeah.
It's over with. But I think there's something about music.
I'm just saying, not to offend nobody, but y'all can't play.
If you've been to the Holy Smoke Festival basketball tournament, you may have seen seen a few.
You can say that.
Yeah, it's like, my man, Christian hip hop is your thing. That's it.
Hey.
But I think there's something about like athletes who are artists, because about this, art is obviously a very creative form of expression, and people who are creative love to sit in that bucket. I think it's beautiful, but when you marry artistic expression with discipline, now you're talking about not just making music, but the music business. Exactly. And I think if you want art to be more than a hobby, there's things you have to do. So talk about how you've embodied that and how that's been good for your business. Yeah.
Discipline. Well, also, let's just start here, right? If you want what you want out of life, how else are you going to get it if you don't like just shut off the world and be disciplined enough to get it? At the end of the day, you can pray all you want and all that, but God has formed us all with the ability. Like, we are the seeds. Every seed already has a tree in it. All it needs is the proper environment to become the tree. The tree is already in the seed. So us as being seedful people that we are, we just got to get in the correct environment to become who we are designed to be, I should say.
But he's spitting right.
That's real.
I'm like,
I wish I wrote that down.
I know. I'm like, I feel like I'm getting taught right. But yeah, I definitely want to get more back into when we come back, hear a little bit about Rizo, like the journey, the story, like before you became who you are now, and just kind of go back to the beginning of what your life looks like. So this is the 116 Life Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 140. I'm your co-host. Here are my lead hosts, Meah Evans, Ace Harris. Be right back. Rizo in the building. Shout out Matt. Be right back, y'all.
And we're back here on the 116 Life here on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 140. We got the lead host, Ace Harris, Meah Evans checking in here, of course, with Stevie Rizo in the building. So listen, we got to talk about this. We want to dive into just things that the things that made you who you are today. So I'm curious to just know what your upbringing was like, childhood. Can you dive into what young Stevie was experiencing in his day? So,
all right, this is going to be hilarious, right?
Okay.
So it's like my childhood, but it formulates back to music. So my grandparents had a church, a really big church my grandpa and his children built brick by brick, right? So they built this super big church. This is in Germantown, Philadelphia, like one of the roughest areas in Philly. And they built it. They had, I want to say like 500. I don't know. They had a lot of members. At 5 years old, it kept getting prophesied over my life that like I was going to be an artist and I was going to sing and I was going to spread the gospel, la la la, right? And I'm just like, no, I'm not. So my grandparents at the age of 5, they started making me sing in church every Sunday faithfully. So at the age of 5, I became an artist, and I cried faithfully every single Sunday. So like, and like I'm up there crying, not like, okay, he's crying, he's a 5-year-old, go ahead and sit down. No, finish, cry your way through it and finish. So I would sit there every Sunday and cry through His Eyes Is on a Sparrow, every single word until I was done, faithfully, for years, until I was like 10. And then by the time I was like 11, I'm like, give me the mic, let's go. You know? So yeah.
Were those like tears of worship type tears, or like tears of fear and trepidation?
Fear, I was shy, I was just so scared.
You got
like
some Joe Jackson type grandparents, bro.
Literally. And look at what it formulate. Like,
better get up there and
so look, but I'm so thankful because like, imagine if they handed me my purpose.
Yeah.
And what if they didn't? I would have been just like running wild. I don't know what I would have been if I didn't have my purpose given to me that early. You know?
That's so dope. I feel like that's so counter to how parents raise their children now.
Yeah, it really is.
Yo, whatever you find, I'm just gonna, which is
Gentle
I think
parenting.
Gentle parenting.
Yeah. But no, my mom was on their side. My mom was like, yes, you gotta sing. My mom just went with it too. So
Really?
Yeah.
I think there's something there. I mean, I think culturally there's a lot of debate about pushing your kids into what you think they should be doing purposely. Obviously, it was spirit led,
Right.
Or seeing where they go and then supporting them.
Right.
I mean, I think maybe we shouldn't go too hard on either side, but I think there is something that was like done from the old days that I think culturally, I think we miss a little bit of like, yo, you're gonna be doing good at this, so I'm just gonna push you in and see what happens.
Pushed me. Yeah. And then after that, like all through life, even as a kid, we would like go visit churches. It just started becoming like my thing. People started saying, oh, God has called you to do music, or do you do music? And, not even know me. So yeah, I mean, it had to have been a call for me to do, but also I'm, like you said, I am grateful that they still pushed me.
And so you were like in this church your whole like childhood?
My whole childhood.
Okay, so how was that experience? Were you like singing? Were you like the popular kid at church? Were you how
I was
your
the
relationship
crybaby. I think you know how clowned I got. I was the crybaby.
Oh, you was getting roasted.
I was getting roasted. All your cousins, you up there crying every Sunday. Your cousins is flaming you when you're done.
Oh
Like,
my God.
it's a wrap. So I was just always getting laughed at. Like I used to be tight. Like I don't want to do this no more.
Make you cry even more.
I don't want to do this. It was bad.
That's crazy. So once you hit like 11, you started to do it and you were kind of looking forward to it. What was your relationship like with the Lord? I mean, I always ask people who like obviously grew up in the church, were you walking with Him in a way that was sincere, or was it some of it just like, yo, I'm here, this is what I've been taught to believe, and my faith isn't really mine yet? Like talk about that experience.
Well, I'll say at a young age, it was strange for me. Even thinking back, like I always felt like I had the best mom in the world. My mom was like a single mom, cool. I had sisters, cool. My family dynamic wasn't bad in any stretch. But as a boy, I just always felt like, as a young boy, I felt alone, right? And in my feeling alone, I used to feel like I'm talking to myself. I used to just talk to myself. But then when I got a little older, like 10, 11, I started realizing like, I'm not talking to myself, I'm talking to God. So I used to just think back to like all the conversations that I would have, and like, it honestly just made my spirituality way stronger.
Really? That's
how I felt.
That's super dope.
Yeah.
So you would, and all through high school, like talk about your adolescent life. Like
Adolescent was wild. That's when the
Yeah,
wildness came
when
out.
did the turn happen?
Yeah, so probably like 13, you get like middle school, and then that's when the light switched. Like, oh, I'm my own human. I can do what I want to do. I'm cool.
Right.
The world tell you cool.
Sure.
You go to school and they like, nah, you cool and la la la, and then you just like, yeah, like
You drinking the Kool-Aid.
yeah, eating it up.
So how was your parents responding to you? Like when you say wow, could you? I mean, obviously within reason.
Yeah.
What did wow look like for Steve Rizo?
So wild to me was just D's and F's, just failing in school, just that kid, just being bad in school, just doing whatever I want, just wilding out, just stuff like that.
Unruly.
Yeah. And then as a teenager, same, just wilding, thinking like trying to figure out how I can like sell drugs to get money,
Gotcha.
thinking like that whole type of vibe, yeah, through high school.
What was it about the environment that pulled you to want to, live a way that was like against the way you were raised? Was it what was it? Was it the culture, the music, the influence, the kids? What was it about that?
You know what it was? It was a rebellion because growing up in church, it just felt like God would always solve the problems. When I hit teenager years, I saw like, wait, like I grew up in church, but nobody really had it figured out.
Okay.
Like my family's not rich, or how we broke if we love God so much, or how is life so hard if God is. So then you rebel. You like, they don't know what they talking about. Like, I don't know. You question it, Were
you associating God's grace with I guess like material prosperity?
Literally. I'm just like, well, how is life hard if God is God? How is nobody in my family is lit or got everything they want, or just that whole thing, So,
how did you come out of that thinking to grow into to like understand who? That's some people. I mean, I'm saying this because I feel like a lot of people your age, specifically in the Black church, have the teaching. You can try to blame the teaching, but it's like nah, it's not all of it. But
it's not. It's really not.
It's not. It's like we took away. How did we associate God's goodness to, bro? If I'm broke, God,
exactly.
God ain't good enough. God can't be good if I'm broke.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So as a young teenager, that was my positioning.
Yeah.
Like, nah, y'all got it wrong. I'm gonna just go out in this world and figure out life. And then you try to figure out life, and you realize like, oh wait. That's when your foundation comes back into play. Well, mine, let me say. That's when my foundation came back into play. When I thought like, y'all got it wrong, let me figure out life. And then my foundation came into play, and it's like, oh wait, it's way deeper than just materialistic things and what I have, and
When was the moment that your foundation started, that you kind of started to see your foundation kind of?
Now that didn't happen. So I went from teenager years to wilding, doing my own thing, all the way until like 20s, to like my early 20s, when I was started like writing for artists and like became an artist, living that life, and then reaching that peak. At the time, my musical peak at that time, reaching that and not feeling validated, just feeling like a void, feeling like what am I missing? And then I started questioning God, like, well, God, if you real, then like, is it you that I'm missing? And then that's when the whole gospel music came into play.
Talk about so when you said you peaked. You was like writing music. You was just trying to be like a mainstream artist, like.
Yeah, I was trying to be a mainstream artist. It was going pretty good. And
talk about when you say going good. Like, what does that look like? What was you?
So I was like teenage years. I remember getting my first song on like Power 99 FM. It's like one of the biggest stations in Philly.
Okay.
And I was working with Vidal from Dre and Vidal.
Yeah.
Vidal is like my mentor at the time, right?
He's OG. Legend.
OG. And I'm in Sigma Sound every day. We writing songs. I'm with them, like Vidal and Mark Byers. My OGs, right? And then that whole time I was just writing and figured out like, oh, I can move to Atlanta to do more writing with like some labels. And
were you trying to become a writer, or you were trying to be an artist?
I was trying to be an artist. I was under their wing at the time. They just showing me the ropes.
Sure.
Usually like when you're young and they showing you the ropes, they want to test your pen first.
Of course.
So they was testing my pen. Yeah.
Because I think so. For people that don't know, the music industry hustle. Publishing and writing songs is a hack. So it's like, yo, if I'm gonna work with you as an artist, you gotta write me some songs first so I can place these beats. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Literally. We get an ROI first before I put money into you become an artist.
Right. So I just want to say shout out to Sherm Byers and Mark Byers. They was my mentors. But yeah, so we was figuring out that angle, like the writing angle. And then I ended up moving here to do some writing. I was writing with some big time artists at the time.
You say some names, or you don't want to? He's like, nah, I don't want to. So you don't have to.
Yeah.
He's like Usher, Chris Brown,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I'll say this. I've been in Usher studio a couple times. I was in Neil's studio like every day.
Oh, okay. Compound. He was in Compound.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in Compound all the time. I was doing the Motown writers camps all the time. We was just
you was doing your Atlanta
the Atlanta
tour.
lifestyle.
Yeah. It's a thing.
Know.
It's a thing. I've dabbled. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But so you realized. I mean, were you getting close? You have stuff get in place. Like, were you like, man, this could be something?
Yes. So I just got management at that time.
Okay.
And we was steamrolling. We was moving. Like any room we would go in, I was writing songs, and it was
moving.
Yeah, it was going right. And that's when I started feeling like, what is this? Like, what? They would question me a lot. Like, what's your vices? What gets you going? And I'm just like, nothing. Like, I I don't know, nothing. Just
gotcha. Because you're really a good kid.
Yeah, I wasn't doing nothing crazy. They like, you don't want no drugs or girls or what's your advice?
Wow.
I'm like, nothing. Like, I don't know. My family, I just want to be successful, you know. But you know how the industry is. It'll like consume you if you let it.
For sure.
So yeah, I had that whole approach. Like, nah, I'm cool. I just want to be the best. And then I just started feeling like, man, there's a void in my life. This is not life, bro. What am I doing?
Yeah. Because I mean, the industry definitely be dangling success or in the other things that come with success. That's alcohol, drugs, women.
Yeah.
And you were kind of probably like in a fishbowl a little bit, feeling like, man, I don't really belong here.
Literally.
And people started to see that on you too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Because I feel like God had a covering over you that he couldn't let go of.
Listen, the covering was the
More,
covering over me at that time, like even down to where like the craziest story. I went and got a manager, and let me say this real quick. This is one of my craziest stories ever. I never even shared
love
this.
Stories on the
I never
116
shared this story online, right?
It's all good. The comments, y'all be take it light. Take it.
So this is right before the Motown things happening, right? I went and got a manager and a different manager, and we were making some plays. We was doing good, like as an artist. So we had just set up all these record label meetings. This is just speaking to the covering that the Holy Spirit had on me. We had set up a meeting with Warner Bros, Atlantic Records, and Rock Nation. So Rock Nation, I'm just hyped. Like, like I get to meet Jay-Z. He wasn't even at the meeting, but anyway, I get to meet Jay-Z. It's up. Like, it's gonna go down. Like, I'm about to really go there. The day before, I'm calling my manager. I can't get in touch with him. This is the day before the meetings are set. Can't get in touch with him. And one of my cousins called me like, look at the news. I look at the news and I see my managers on the news getting 20 years in jail. The day before we are set to meet all these labels, my manager gets 20 years in jail. So that's just speak to like, I kept being just right there of where I thought I was supposed to be, and it would just crumble every time. It just kept happening to me. Yeah. To this day, he's still in jail. Yeah.
Ain't been 20 years yet.
Ain't been 20 years yet, but man.
Yes. That covering
so the cover was crazy because I kept thinking I'm there. Then nope. God's like,
so after that, you said you started to feel a void and you started to like question or come to God with what you were feeling, I'm assuming, and then comes Christian R&B. Like how did that happen? I mean, yeah.
So when I was just talking to God about it, like God really got me. Like I give my life back to you. That whole thing, and he was just like, start with your music. Start with what you're producing. I'm like, well, how do I give the music back to him? I'm like, all right, bet. The very next day, I went to who I was working with at the time, and I told them like, hey, I'm out. Like I want to do gospel music. And they were just like, you tripping. Like, what? You were tripping. Look where you at. Look at how many people trying to get to where you are right now. And I'm just like, yeah, but I have to. Like, it's what I have to do. So it was just a day. It just, one day I was doing this. The next day I was just living for God, and it was over.
I love that, man. That's such a great story because I think there's so many creative people that have kind of a similar story of, I was out here, I was pursuing, and then instantly God just does a 180 on our hearts and reorients us back to Him for His glory. Yeah. But He doesn't take away the talent. You know, the talent that He gave you, still using and will continue to use to give Him glory through it. It's just gonna look different. And sometimes people like in that studio, managers are probably like, "Yo, what happened?" Fast forward to 2024. Now you doing tours,
right?
Everything that would have happened is probably happening professionally. You still having success. It's just success with the right purpose. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It's purpose attached.
Yeah. So that's super dope, man. When we come right back, we'll get into all the new music, all the things you put in your hands and heart to that you're killing it with, man. This is the 116 Life, Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 140. I am one of your hosts, Ace Harris, here with the other main host, Meah Evans. We're right back, y'all. Shout out Rizzo. And we are back. This is the 116 Life, Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 140. I'm here with Meah Evans and the amazing Rizzo. Could have been gone a whole nother way, my boy. You know what I'm saying? Was at the top, saw the right path, came back home. Love it, love the story. Talent still going crazy. So yeah, man, like when did like you turn that corner. I mean, you're obviously killing it right now. Like when did you realize, I mean, my heart is right, but nah, this is actually something I can actually like build a career off of. When did that moment happen for you? like doing Christian R&B music?
I never had a plan B. I was never plan B in it. Yeah, so even when I switched to Christian music, it was either this or I'm gonna just be a bum. Like, my plan B was bum. That's what B was for me.
Yeah.
B for bum.
For facts though, I never wanted to do nothing else. Like I always wanted to do music.
Yeah.
So honestly, I'm grateful that I am doing Christian music now, because the Christian artists can be out here till they 60, 70. And that's my goal. Like, I just want to make music forever.
The shelf
man.
life is on 10.
Yeah, yeah, so.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I don't want to name a few names. I've seen a couple artists out here to the 65.
Hey, Yolanda
bro.
Adams could drop right now and go crazy. Anybody could
You
drop,
right.
like, you feel me though?
Yolanda, she can do
Christian
it.
artists can go.
I know we be real critical of the Christian music fan base. Some of it is justified, but one thing that I want to celebrate them for is when they ride with you, they ride for you.
Facts.
Bro.
Forever.
And forever.
Forever.
Like there's people I know that are like rappers, bro. I mean, I can't even say their ages. Even now, people sign here, people in the space I've seen getting bookings, doing tour. I'm like, yo, if you, it's not supposed to happen, bro. You supposed to been washed.
Right.
But, so when did you? So I mean, were you working in school? Or you just like, were you all in? Like, I'm about to just go do this thing. Like, it just.
No, I was always a hustler. I always had a side gig.
Okay.
So before everything went a little crazy, like I want to say 3 years ago, I was still working. I was actually a banker. I was a little financial advisor, a little banker. Yeah. So I worked at the bank. I did that for like years. I used to work at banks.
Smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
Have an income.
I was like, hey, at least I can learn money before I get to the artist game.
When did you start to see things like take off? Or you're kind of like, oh, starting to get some traction, streams starting to go up. Like, when did you start seeing that?
Well, like I said, like 3 years ago when I was working. So like 2 years ago, I had really dove into studying the principles of the kingdom. And I learned that one of the financial principles is you don't work for money when you live in the kingdom, right? You only work for the king, and the king supply all your needs. So I was like, oh, God, I got it messed up. I'm out here working for all this money. Like, I'm tripping. God, I'll never work for another dime again. And the day I said this, I was kind of broke at the time. I had my rent due in a couple weeks. I probably had like a couple $1,000s to my name. And my rent was coming up in like 2-3 weeks. And I was just like, God, I'm standing on your principle, and I know you're going to honor it. From that day, I quit my job, and it was just up from there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so, but you've been pretty consistent too, though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, talk about how when you quit your job, your grind, back to kind of harken back to our discipline conversation. Talk about how the discipline kicked into overdrive once you had to like do it full time.
Now you can't quit and then don't be disciplined, because that ain't gonna work, right? So when I quit, I definitely like. No one really loves being online. If you do, kudos to you, right? Nobody loves posting every day, 2 times a day, whatever. But once I told God I'm no longer working for money and I only work for you, I understood that God's job is going to consist of me reaching the most people as possible. How do I do that? Online. How do I do that? Be consistent. How do I do that? Show up when I get them calls. So all that was just my job. That's how I looked at it. Like, all right, this is just my new job. So it wasn't a problem after that.
I love, yeah.
Bro, that's real, because I think sometimes as believers, we think that because we say, oh yeah, God, Jehovah Jireh, you're going to provide, all that exempts us working.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you getting that knowledge, exchanging that discipline over is great. So I want to talk about music for a little bit. Man, if there's one song that I feel like, everyone, I hear so many people speak so highly of yours. One of them is Esther. And I love going, I was at Holy Summit and just hearing like the whole crowd just like erupt singing that song. I just want to talk about what the creation process went into that, what brought that song even in your heart to be able to create. How did Esther just come about for you?
So first I'll say this, some messages as a songwriter and as an artist, I learned that some messages you're supposed to be vessels of. They're supposed to come through you. And some messages you're supposed to be a carrier of. Esther's story, I'm supposed to be a carrier of that message. Like when I get to heaven, I'm gonna be like, Esther, I was holding it down for you. Like that's my plan in my mind. That's gonna happen. She gonna be like, yeah, you was, like whatever. But how that formulated, I was just asking God in that time, like, what do your people need? What do they need to hear? So instantly I thought of like, oh, Christian TikTok. Let me go see what they talking about. First couple 3 videos was like girls talking about like relationships, breaking up, trying to find a husband, all that stuff, right? So I was like, oh, all right, that's easy. Let's do it. Let's figure out like the love stories. So I just started searching the Bible for like love stories, and I found Esther, Queen Esther. I didn't know nothing about Esther. So then I took like 2 weeks. I want to say like 2 to 3 weeks, and just like kept reading the book of Esther. I watched YouTube videos on it. I just paid attention to what I was consuming at the time. And then when I went in the studio, I just let it be what it was. I just let it like come out. And that's what
it's a beautiful story.
That's what
Bible,
came about.
man.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a beautiful story. So, so I first heard about your music through Wande. Shout out
Wande.
Mm-hmm.
See, actually doing a
Wande be knowing everybody.
Yeah.
Which is happening soon. So I think when this drops, it's gonna be Anike. So I'm going to say it. She put me onto your music, and I was like, "Yo, this is hard." And then there was a record on the Exit album, A Million Ways.
Yeah.
So funny story about that record. You know, for some of y'all who have like Bluetooth connection with your Apple phones, I, as an A&R, I do buy my artist albums. I actually go buy the iTunes version because it's good for business, right? So everybody, any song, any Reach record that drops, I literally go buy the iTunes download because it's like, yeah, it's good for the sales, good for their back end, whatever. So when you buy a song, it lives in your iTunes folder on your phone, and then there's this random autoplay. It's a really annoying feature on Apple. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So for mine, it plays it in alphabetical order.
I was just about to say, and that's an A, so I know it's up top.
Bruh, I hear this song. I hear your voice.
It's the first song
I hear
played.
Rizzo every day of my life.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a million ways.
Hey, you got to hear it every day.
I think it's kind of a cool way to start my day. Literally, I just heard this on the way here.
That's so
It pops
fire.
up. So it's like the Exit album cover. My kids always see one day and hear, and your song is playing. The song you have
How
with
cool.
the Nikkei. So shout out to you. Also want to talk about a cool music story. I don't know if you knew this, Meah. So in 2021, we was like trying to work on some worshipful type projects. I want to say it was R&B influence. I've always had this heart for trying to merge worship created by people who love hip hop or people who love R&B, right? So I think we found out how to do that through our own artists. But I was trying to do this project back in like 2019. I hosted some worship camps. I even had like Chandler Moore here before he was at Maverick City. We were trying to just crack this code, which I think God had a bigger plan fast forward. But in a session in 2021, we did some camps and I had some ideas. And I wrote this song called All Yours. And I wrote it I had Stevie Rizo come to like demo it because I felt my voice was trash, which it still is, without some FX. Shout out Connor. And Rizzo sung this hook. That was actually, it was more like, it was like a hook, and it was like, glory to
I can't remember that song for anything, like the original.
You deserve the praise. It was like slowed down.
It was slower, right? Way slower.
And so that song we wrote, we had like we had a bunch of songs that we just never came out.
Yeah.
We be quality controlling that Reach like crazy, which is good. Sometimes it's not too good, but anyway, fast forward. When I was, after No Longer Bound, we were trying to make some new records for Hovey, and I just took that vocal sample and just like sped it up.
And went crazy.
And altered it.
Yeah.
No pun.
I remember you sent it to me. I was like, what? This is so hard.
And so the voice that you hear on Hovey's well-known song Alter is Steve Rizzo's voice.
That is insane.
It was like so perfect how you did that.
And so, we made sure we could have been on the back end too.
Yeah,
for those who wonder.
Shout out to Ace. Shout out to Ace. Ace helped me down. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of, I think that's a nugget. Oh, you're just so humble. You don't mention that.
Bruh, I'm living a blessing. I don't got to shout too much.
So I wanted to just shout you out for being a blessing to me in a way that helped us craft that amazing song and being a part of our story. Forever, we're tied together on this record forever. As far as it goes, it will always part of that story.
Yeah.
So,
That's so cool.
Man. Yeah. I love to hear that. I love hearing stories like that.
Listen, that's why I don't say it. Like, I'm not like out front with it, because on tour, right, we had an artist that opened for one of our dates. I believe it was Dallas. J Manuel, shouts out to them.
They fired.
And they were singing it. They sang it on their set. So when they came backstage, they were saying glory to the Father. When they came backstage, I'm like, that's me, right? And they're like, nah, that's Hovey's song. I'm like, yeah, I know. Look it up. So it's always funny just to do it like that at certain moments. So it's like, I don't want to tell everybody. I'm going to just drop it when it's like funny. Like,
it's like a cool like nugget.
And they're like, what? Like, that's you?
I mean, I feel like that's how music industry stories go. Even like these little like, that's why, shout out to you, artists, just show up, be faithful. You never know where your gift can take you and what you may end up on, or who you may be walking with or standing next to. We can't control results, only God can, but we can control our faithfulness to what God's.
Exactly.
And so, I just wanted to drop that little nugget.
And most times people show up like for their job, when they don't want to, but they don't do that for the kingdom. That's why I said I work for God. Like, it's my job. You know?
I was about to ask you that. What benefits have you seen professionally, spiritually, even personally, of showing up and being consistent when it comes to the kingdom?
This moment in particular, it was a random moment. He hit me like, hey, I'm just trying to shot in the dark. I didn't know where he was going, what he was thinking of. I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna pull up. That's all it came. That's all it was. I'm gonna pull up, you know? And then we got all of that out of it. So I feel like you have to do that more often than not, more often than you don't feel like it. Because even when you're tired, you're gonna get up and go to work.
Why is that?
Because it's your job, honestly. That's the only reason. You feel like you're obligated to, but you don't put that same obligation on things that God is calling you to do, which is like gonna last forever anyway.
Yeah.
You know, everything else is gonna fade.
I'm gonna take it a step further. Even say, this may hit home for some people. Even in like the community and local church front, you may not always feel like going to church. Now the gathering is to be preserved. The way we do the gatherings in America, I'm open-handed with what that looks like. Whether that's a church or a small group, I don't care. Just gather with some Christians and get together and praise the Lord, right? And learn.
Right.
You may not always feel like going to that prayer meeting. So I think if we're doing for the kingdom based on what we feel like doing, then we'll just sit out a lot of times and miss what God can do.
We would never do it.
Exactly.
For sure. So it's like, I think that's so W.
That's living in your flesh. Right when you feel, that's flesh. Gotta get away from that.
It's just like, I feel, but I
feel.
Need, like, I even had a moment of transparency with like, I had a group of guys, I'm going on this little retreat soon. And, you know, sometimes you don't feel, you're like, I don't schedule, But it's like, what if we did what needed to be done based on what's good for our soul?
Exactly.
What if that was prioritized
Right.
outside of what we feel in our emotions? You know what I'm saying?
One of the big, I think I said this to you before, but one of the biggest revelations I got in 2020 was I can't go according to what I feel, but I got to go according to what I know.
What you know, right?
And what you know is anything God says, anything the word says is 100% fact and true. So being able to go through that doctrine plus the doctrine of your feelings, you're always going to make it past the entire time.
Sure.
Right.
And the feelings are there. Feelings are real. I mean, you sing about that in your music.
Yeah.
I think a lot, which is Christian R&B is very much a form of music that you, outside of rap, you can express some of those feelings in a unique way.
Yeah.
And we're not saying like deny what you feel.
Right.
We're just saying process it and then filter it through what you know.
What you know.
And
that's perfect.
And then what you know should lead you to do what he's calling.
What is right.
What is right.
Yeah.
And then hopefully. So talk before we leave, man, anything you want to say about what you got going on, any wisdom for the people, just some of your current plans, where you're at musically and everything. Yeah.
I'm more so just follow the journey.
Okay.
What I have going on, I'm working on an album right now. I'm working on the album.
Okay.
It's gonna be crazy. God willing, of course. Other than that, what I want the people to know is just follow the journey. Like, I want to tell y'all so much and show y'all so much, but it's easier if y'all just follow along.
That's good. Yeah. Where can people who are new to hearing about you, where can they find you on socials and stuff like that?
All my socials is IAM Stevie Rizo. Or just go to my website, StevieRizo.com. Check me out.
He's so chill.
Follow along.
The website.
Just pull up. You know, you can find me.
I appreciate y'all. Look, like, it's really a journey that I'm on, and I'm really just trying to like be the best me, and I'm trying to like help everyone around me like be the best them. So I want y'all to just come follow along so I can help y'all be the best y'all too, you know? So
that's great. I love that. Well, this is the 116 Life on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius Channel 140. Shout out to Rizzo for pulling up on us and sharing his heart and his mission and everything he's doing. Meah, it's been good hanging with you. Matt, you know what I'm saying, is always holding us down the boards, keeping us honest. And thank y'all for tuning in as the fans and viewing it, man, keeping this show alive. Good godly content, dope conversation, culture, faith, and life, and all that. So see y'all next week. Stay tuned.